Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the two kinds of discipline. And I'm willing to bet that you're really good at one of them and you're not so great at the other one. Here's discipline number one: it is doing what you're supposed to do. You're given a goal to achieve, you're given a series of steps to take to achieve the goal, you buckle down and you get it done. This could be things like goal, get into a good college. Steps, get great grades, get leadership positions in a bunch of clubs, and win some trophies for something. And then you're just like, got it, I'm getting this done. Or the goal could be get promoted. And the steps could be get a big project over the finish line, influence other teams' agendas, and mentor your team members. And you're like, got it, I'm getting this done. And when you are really good at this kind of discipline, and when you identify as someone who's really good at achieving the goals that you're supposed to achieve, you can even end up applying it to your personal life. Something like goal, get married, have 2 kids by a certain age. Steps, go on a lot of dates, pick the best person I can find, get engaged, have a big wedding, get pregnant at the right times. And you're just like, got it, I'm getting this done. Now, to be good at this kind of discipline, you have to build up skills like staying committed to one goal over a long period of time, not questioning the goal, and staying committed to that set of steps as the best way to achieve that goal, not questioning and not experimenting with the steps. You also have to build the skill of being consistent in doing the steps that are required and not stopping, even when it's painful or difficult. And you have to build the skill of not quitting. Now, most of us are really good at this kind of discipline. But did you know there's a completely kind of discipline that exists out there too? Discipline number two is creating something that uniquely fits you. And this is the exact opposite of discipline number one. Because in this case, you have the discipline to not just pick up a goal that someone else gave you. You have the discipline to decide for yourself what the goal is and why it's important to achieve. Not just because someone told you to, but why it's important to you, why you would do it even if it wasn't required. Then you have the discipline to experiment in order to figure out the right steps. And by right steps, I mean the steps that will get you to your goal and feel good while you do them. This is a really high bar. And you don't know ahead of time what those steps are. But you have the discipline to not just plan and analyze and strategize forever, but to instead get in there and start doing, start failing, and start figuring it out. And most importantly of all, you have the discipline to stop doing the things that don't feel good, and the discipline to get creative and keep asking yourself, okay, what else can I do that might feel right to me and moves me towards my goals? Being good at this kind of discipline requires a completely different set of skills. It requires regularly questioning the goal and making sure that it still aligns to what you truly want and adjusting the goal if needed. It also requires questioning and adjusting the steps to achieve the goal and being willing to fail and to experiment, not being perfect, not being good at things. And it requires not being consistent if consistency is painful or difficult. And it also requires quitting when it's time to quit, not pushing through. Now, chances are high that school and grad school and your first few jobs have made you really good at discipline number one. And even more than just being good at discipline number one, chances are high that school and grad school and your first few jobs have taught you that discipline number one, doing what you're supposed to do, is the smart, right, morally upstanding way to be. You should be committed. You should be consistent. You should do things well. Of course, you shouldn't make mistakes. You shouldn't change directions all the time. You should do what you're supposed to do because people wiser than you have come up with this path and you should just walk it as well as you can. And when you take on commitment and consistency and high quality work as moral values and as an identity that you are personally attached to, it is really hard to create a life that uniquely fits you. Because all the skills that are required to actually do that look like sloppiness or a lack of commitment or laziness or self indulgence. But if you're trying to create a life that uniquely fits you, a life that you actually want, making mistakes is a skill. Self indulgence is a skill. Listening to yourself and refusing to force yourself to do what you no longer want to do is a skill. And it requires real discipline to stay true to your own internal compass and to be willing to make mistakes and make adjustments and do experiments until you figure out how to get everything you want with no trade offs. So, if you're really good at doing what you're supposed to do, you're probably finding it difficult to create the life you actually want. And it's not because you're dumb or lazy or you can't figure it out. It's because it literally requires the opposite skill set of the one that you've cultivated so far. It requires asking, what do I want? And sitting with the uncertainty and ambiguity for long enough to actually figure out the answer. Not just asking, what am I supposed to do? And then running off to execute the answer. It also requires patiently teasing apart societal expectations from your own dreams and desires, not just jumping to fulfill whatever societal expectation is put in front of you. And creating the life you actually want requires courage to experiment and fail and go against the grain that you're imagining everyone else is following, and not just being consistent in executing a plan that someone else gave you. So if you're tired of doing what you're supposed to do, or you're just finding yourself at the end of that supposed to path and you're looking around realizing you still got a lot of life left, but you're not sure what you're supposed to do with it, come talk to me and let's start building the discipline and the skill set required to create the life that you actually want. You have no time to lose. Go to the link above and book a free coaching consult.